This is Arts Alive. I'm Lynda Phillippi, and my guests today are Edwina Castle, Steve Rupp, and Stuart Jacobson, and they're here to talk about McMinnville's public art and the upcoming celebration. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Glad you could be here. Maybe Edwina, we'll start with you, and you can talk a little bit about the Oregon Cultural Coalition and how that ties in with the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition.
Sure. The Oregon Cultural Trust really is involved with helping support artists and the artistic community. And I was approached by people from the Yamhill Cultural Coalition and they suggested that I do something to celebrate Oregon Days of Culture. And that falls the first week in October. So we last year celebrated public art. And what we did in that whole concept is we brought together performing artists to give their interpretation of a public art piece. It was great because we got a lot of collaboration from Linfield Musical Department, Gallery Theater, a teacher from the Dunaway, who's also a poet, the Twilighters. So it was a big, there was song, there was dance, there was poetry, there was excerpts of a play and how they related to the public art piece. Mm-hmm. It was a great success. The public loved it, and of course they asked us to do it again this year. And we had a wonderful reception afterwards to celebrate it, and we've decided to make that even a bigger event.
Okay.
So this year we're adding the culinary extravaganza, and that is going to be a fabulous event with, so far what we have 5 confirmed restaurants here locally that are going to be a part of it, and 5 or 6 local wineries. They are going to interpret public art through culinary art. And then what we'll do is we'll have the beautiful trays of food, bits and pieces of their interpretation of public art.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so we are kind of under the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition as far as one of the events that's happening that first week. And the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition right now is getting that information out about different organizations in different parts of the county that are pursuing the celebration of art, or this is culture. Mm-hmm. And this year in Yamhill County, their focus is on the photographs. So with ideas of photographs being a moment in time, I thought that would be a great way to celebrate public art, because when you look at it, it is a moment in time, and it is like a photograph. So that's how we kind of incorporated the public art into the Yamhill County's focus on photography this year.
Okay, great. And Steve, I know you're the chair of the Downtown Association's Committee for Public Art, yeah, and you have been for several years.
About 4 years.
Okay, do you want to talk maybe a bit about how that all came to be and what you've managed to accomplish?
Sure. I will just amend one of the things
sure.
that Edwina said first, and that is that the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition is putting on a photo contest.
Oh, okay.
And the Days of Culture are the first week of October. So for the first week of October, the photographs will be exhibited in the Chehalem Cultural Center in Newburgh.
Okay, perfect.
And then as far as the public art goes, I was on the McMinnville Downtown Association's planning committee, and everybody was talking about how we should have some public art. And I said, that's a really good idea. And they said, well, if you think it's such a good idea, you go do it. Mm-hmm. And so I got together with the people, the city council and the MDA board. We came up with a joint venture between the city and the MDA to support public art in the downtown core. And that was enacted, I think, in 4 years ago in January.
Okay.
And we get a small budget from the city of about $9,000 a year. And with that, we rent art. which what they call honorariums.
Okay.
Presently, we have 6 pieces of 6 sculptures in the city that are in various locations around the downtown core. They're rented essentially, and then we've acquired 13 pieces.
Oh, okay.
And it's been a pretty good deal for the city because the 13 pieces are worth about $142,000.
Wow.
So there's been a real outpouring of generosity for the public arts inside of McMinnville.
So the way that you obviously raise money for the public art is through donations.
Yeah, and usually the pieces are donated rather than money.
Oh,
the
I
one
see.
really big exception to that was Ben Franklin, where we had a single donor who is anonymous, and none of us know who did it. But
Really?
the asking price was $37,000, and this anonymous person gave $35,000 towards the Ben Franklin.
Wow.
So
That's really incredible,
that was pretty
isn't it?
cool. Yeah.
Okay, now so the ones that then are the honorariums. Is there a possibility that at some point the city can acquire those?
So far, we've
permanently?
acquired 3 of those
Okay, okay,
through people buying them and then donating them to
Okay.
the city.
great.
And when you buy them and donate them to the city, it's tax deductible.
Okay.
If that helps some people make a decision.
I think it helps probably a lot of people make a decision.
Yeah.
So I know that Stuart Jacobson, you are one of the artists who has a piece displayed downtown, and yours is the one that's by City Hall, right?
Exactly. Right. The corner of City Hall and Civic Plaza.
You want to talk a little bit about what that's been, I mean, you know, how it feels to have a piece of the art downtown, but more importantly, maybe some of your background as an artist and, you know, how you thought about that piece for as part of the public art in McMinnville.
Sure. It feels great to have a piece here in McMinnville. You know, I've lived here for 16 years, so being able to show people what I do is terrific. In terms of the piece in particular, I started with a really beautiful stone and just tried to think of what I could do to enhance it. So I start with something that is really cool and try and make it cooler.
Okay.
In this case, I decided to make a representation of the world. And so a lot of the stone is left rough because, again, it was so beautiful.
Because that's the world.
That is the world.
A lot of it's rough.
Yes. But then I inserted this beautiful polished orb in the center of the sculpture, representing the world inside this universe, basically. And then I created a story around it. And that story goes something like, I took recycled glass and inserted it into pockets in this stone so that it's like jewelry. When the sunlight hits it, it glows.
It is beautiful.
Thank you. And so the story evolved that this world with this ornamentation kind of represents where we are in society of wanting to live sustainably and in harmony with nature. And so it's kind of like my hope for the future that sort of thinking continues and that we take good care of the earth.
Well, we want to live sustainably, and we also want jewelry. So there you go. I like it. I think you've covered all the bases. Yes. Yeah, it is beautiful. Edwina and I were down at the plaza one day just taking pictures and just kind of stumbling around down there, sort of thinking through the event. And we looked at your piece from so many different angles, and no matter which way you approach it, it's just beautiful. And it really, there's, I don't know, so much to it, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So how did you choose Stuart's piece to go in that particular location?
What we do is once a year we put out what we call a call to artists, outlines what we're looking for, and at that time we email it to about 300 or 400 Northwest Coast
Oh my goodness!
artists. This last one we got, I think, 19 responses, of which Stuart's was one. We went through and pared it down to 3 final pieces. And then once we had the pieces pared down, then you start looking for a location that's appropriate for the piece. So that location, I don't think, was initially, we play the two back and forth.
Right.
But it's really nice there.
Oh, it's beautiful
think
there.
it
You know,
is.
it kind of between the cute little old house, you know, the pristine little gleaming white house, and the new, really nice, really modern, sort of fabulous
slick.
plaza. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It kind of brings them together, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And you are on the committee for public art as well, aren't you?
I am.
So
So I
you're-
actually help select some of the works, and part of what I love to do is to find sites for the pieces that really makes them look good. I mean, it's one thing to have great art, but if it's not displayed properly, it's not going to look
Exactly.
good. And so playing with that is really fun.
Do you have some other locations in mind for future art?
The honest answer is no.
My front yard is available.
Is it?
It is.
Well, we'll take a look at that.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
But as new pieces are submitted, that will spark new ideas about, you know, perhaps a place that you hadn't even considered before.
Exactly.
Suddenly, well, that would look good there.
Kind of like the little girl with the book at the library. I mean, that was the obvious place to put her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now the little boy that goes along with that.
Right,
You know, it's
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
right.
yeah.
So,
That was a interesting happenstance, because we originally got the little girl in an honorarium, and the people who work at the library fell in love with it and wanted to keep it. So they started a campaign through the Library Foundation and the Friends of the Library to acquire the piece. They acquired a piece and we put it there. And once it got there, Rosemarie Cohen said, "Little boys read too. We need a little boy
oh, how
statue."
cute.
So she pushed, and we got an honorarium of a little boy to put in there. And about that time, the Butler family, the person who supported the library, I can't remember the first name, it was terrible. Anyway, died, and the family bought the little boy as in honor of the person. And there's going to be a dedication of the little boy on the 25th of September. So it's a really nice little story.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, what a nice way to honor a loved one.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
something that,
I think it's really cool.
everybody can enjoy, you know, forever, really, I guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The three sons acquired a piece and donated it to the city in honor of the parent.
So when you are thinking about public art, is there a particular city that's kind of like the shining example of what you'd like McMinnville to become?
Well, locally, in the greater Portland area, Lake Oswego has really kind of set a pretty high bar.
Okay.
And we've used them as a model. I've participated in their calls to art in the past and displayed work there. So I had kind of an insider's knowledge of how the process worked and what they did. Working with the committee, we all kind of borrowed a lot of great ideas that they had and continue to have. And we watched them closely and try to use the best ideas that they have.
Whatever's out there.
Yeah.
You also have work in Corvallis, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I've done public art commissions, and I have a couple in Lake Oswego, one in Corvallis, Beaverton, and Bend, and Monmouth.
Nice. Okay, so you really are pretty well represented then
Well-
in this area, anyway.
Yes,
Our little neck of the woods.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, great. And I know that that some of the money that we hope to raise with the private benefit that's coming up in October is going to help with some of the maintenance and preservation of the art.
Our big campaign right now is to start lighting the pieces, because many of them would be really beautiful at night, and we just want to get it so that if you're walking around the evening, you can have a really nice experience as well. So, and I think things are going to proceed pretty well in that area. We've gotten some interest from people who would like to help us with that.